I think I believe having a short of this short little documentary kind of explains my opinions on it in a very little nice little bow unto itself. The fact I have a short of this kind of shows my own opinions on this overall. But hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Last week was my comeback review with my favorite movies of 2025 so far. I am yet to promise, or at least to make a video of my favorite movies of the 2020 so far, and I'm currently I haven't really done that yet. I got no excuse for that. But recently, I was in Victoria, on Victoria Island, seeing some extended family of mine, and in that time, I was able to go to the museum there, which also an IMAX theater, and I've always been a bit of an IMAX fan myself. I've seen all the movies. I've seen a whole bunch of the movies throughout the years. I remember seeing Shackleton's Antarctic Adventure when I was young, and I remember being highly influenced by that one movie by that one of theirs at such a young of an age, and how I've been such a big fan of IMAX format since then, because most of which they've been using it for these short science-based documentaries for science places like Victoria Museum, or here BC, Canada, and in Science World. But in 2008, it kind of all changed when Christopher Nolan took that format and made A Dark Knight. There's parts of that movie, that movie stands immortal onto its own because there's so many great reasons onto itself. But it's because Nolan used IMAX cameras for the first time to be part of a large-scale film. And because of that, he's able to really bring it into the format. As before then, they used it for short science-based movies or documentaries like what I'm discussing here. But I got to see the new T-Rex IMAX movie in 3D, and basically here's my review for this. And basically, this movie revolves around the story of three young kids who actually stranded upon part of a T-Rex skeleton. I believe I might forget this. Excuse me. I apologize for this. And I believe it was North Dakota or Montana. I believe it was mostly Montana, I believe. But it took that story and how they basically revealed a bit of a slight spoiler for this, is that basically they didn't just find a T-Rex, a part of a dinosaur skeleton. They didn't find a T-Rex, which is already really, really quite rare. They found bones of a juvenile T-Rex, very much paralleling, these kids at their own age of like preteens finding a juvie T-Rex, and how the movie kind of circulates around that, meanwhile giving a great homage of what makes the T-Rex the king and the most iconic land predator of all time, and why it's obviously seen as the goat dinosaur for so many people, including myself. And what I really do love about this movie is a couple of things in fold. Number one, it truly feels like a love letter to T-Rex in itself. It pays it with such a love and homage and respect. Meanwhile, balancing the real life aspects of its size, its growth, the usage of the acknowledgement of hair, of actual body fat, the ratio, and everything, how it actually mostly what it looks like in today. It brings forth a great sense and great realistic perspective of science onto this, and I found it to be particularly intelligent, heartwarming, sincere, and self-aggrandizement to the point of almost self-parody at the time, where it literally plays the "who, yeah" kind of moment thing by the end, and it's a bit in my mind on a point of self-parody there, but it gives it with such giddiness and love and sincerity and science that it felt so palpable, that I felt even before when I was watching this, I saw this with my parents, and they were like, yeah, that was really good. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, kids can see a little documentary on dinosaurs. No, this felt very sincere, with a good mix of science fiction, of intelligence, of craft, but also as it felt like a passion project wrapped up within discovery of the skeleton, and how they were able to tie it together within this discovery of it, as well as giving homage and respect for why it is often seen as the greatest dinosaur of all time, especially for a land-eating dinosaur that could probably has the jaw strength to probably lift up my car. But anyway, at the very center of this is a movie that really does pay enormous love, homage, and respect for what is supposedly the greatest dinosaur ever. And it is. It pays it with such respect and admiration. It didn't really feel dismissively, but it also didn't feel like self-aggrandizement at the same time. It was able to homogenize this sense of love of science and the love of dinosaurs that all young people do have. And it does it to such a great degree. And a big strength of this movie that I feel like other IMAX movies kind of suffered from is the first thing in my mind is the fact that it's able to balance from the CGI dinosaur era period that it would show and then goes back to the humans and maintaining that sense of interest, momentum, and passion in both parts. In other IMAX movies I've seen before growing up, I feel like they've been mixed to somewhat not good because of not this personal nostalgia, but because I felt like they were either able to maintain a good focus on one above the other. You know, the aspects of science or nature, of the discovery of humans interfering with it, or the parts of animals and everything, and how one part was favoring over the other. In this movie, it was able to maintain that love and the investment and craft of that in both parts. I never got this internal whiplash like, oh, this part is great and this part is good or fine. It was able to do that very consistently, and I think that's a really great strength of this documentary. I do think, like all these IMAX movies, it doesn't really leave a little bit to be desired, but it does aspect in the end feel like it's bordering on that shorter end time of 45 to 65 minutes, and by the end you kind of feel like you want more. But I also see that as a strength. I want more from this. It wasn't like I was missing. It wasn't like watching it, I felt like I was missing something in here. It felt like, no, I just want more. And that's a good thing. That really is a good aspect. I want more. I want to be fascinated with this by more. If this for me, if I saw this at 8 years old, being the science and dinosaur enthusiast I was then, this movie would have been my favorite thing ever. And it still stands as probably the best documentary movie of the year so far, including that ocean movie that I was watching recently of David Attenborough's on Disney Plus. I thought that was really good, but this is better. But by the end of it, I feel like this movie was able to maintain that balance, that love, that passion project, but also bringing how these kids found the skeleton and bring it to the notoriety of the scientists of the state, and they're like, oh, let's focus, and they give them such reverence and love at the same time. It never felt like it was favoring one aspect or the other. It was really able to homogenize that at the same point where it felt beautifully focused. Sure, it's a bit short, and it could definitely be seen as a bit of a self-parody at times. As I said, when at the end it was like, why is the goat dinosaur a long time? And then it plays the whole music, the kind of music. I'm just like, okay, this is a bit. I'm like, what are we doing here? But by the end, I felt such genuine, palpable love. And if this movie was able to influence a next young kid for being like, I want to be a paleontologist when I grow up, then this is a great memento-esque part of IMAX format to influence the next kid to go down the road of being a dinosaur lover or paleontologist or a zoologist or a science lover. It's just a very palpable, easy to grasp, but also genuine without feeling like it's playing down to kids. And I think that's a really great strength of this. And in my view, it's just great. So yeah, in my rating of 0 to 100%, I'm going to give this one a 91%. So it's very great in my opinion. I'd highly recommend it for anyone who's in the Victoria area to watch this. If you have a chance to watch this on IMAX, please do. I also saw this on 3D. Pointless. I wish IMAX would stop doing that. But regardless, it's still great. Thank you for watching, everyone, and until next time, be the goat. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Till then, cheers and stay happy. Bye-bye.